Hey, Tony guys here, popping in a little video. Now y'all gotta remember when I'm in a hotel, I can't talk too loud because your voice just carry. It go right through the walls. I can hear people conversation, anybody walking by. If I'm walking by a room and people talking, you can hear everything. But now listen, let me remind y'all and help you understand when you dealing with men. I seen a post of, it was about a lady who she let her sister move in, and it was a sister with the sister child, and her husband like, yeah, absolutely, let her move on in. And then the lady had to go out of town, and the man had been complaining about the baby, 5-month-old baby, crying and all of that. And then the lady had to go out of town. And when she went out of town, her husband kicked her sister and the baby out the house and kept the sister phone. So when the woman came back and she was calling her sister, her husband had the phone. He said he found it. And then she went off on him because she got a call from an unknown number, and it was her sister calling her. Her sister let her know that she didn't leave the house on her own, that her husband put her out, that the sister husband put her out, her and her baby, and that they was in the shelter. And she went home and she went off on her husband. Now, this right here, the reason why men seem heartless, understand this now, the reason why men seem heartless is for the large part, we are. For the large part, men are heartless. Hate to break it to you. Now we're gonna get into it now, but I want you first to understand that for the most part, that's how men are raised. That's how men are cultivated. That's how the world positions men. And it doesn't have to be that way. Not every male is that way. But what the factors that come in, you got to realize what you got to realize is when you are in a situation where you in a country and your country may have to go take over another country, this is intentional from the beginning of the people that they're gonna need to join them forces to go do that. To a large degree, you have to be robotic. To a large degree, you gotta be heartless. You gotta be almost like a creature of habit. And so there's some intentionality to how men are raised. And it could be completely opposite. And the changes come in is when a man has good parents. When a man has a good mother, whether it's a single mother or a single father or good parents. And when I say parents, I don't necessarily mean the people who gave birth to him, but the people who raising him. It could be an auntie, an uncle, a brother, a sister, a grandmother, grandfather. That's when you see it changes. That's when a man can have a heart. But when I read that, I went through something similar with family having to move in, and I could not put family out. And it wasn't my family, it was my wife's family. And I couldn't put family out. It's as much as I hated it. Another thing, men are territorial. So a lot of times a man can seem heartless because he's territorial. So when it comes to what we'll do to somebody because of what they've done to somebody we love, we could appear heartless in what we do. When it comes to our territory, somebody stealing our lunch money, somebody moving into our house, somebody in our space, we could seem heartless. And now what I'm gonna tell you now, what I seen from that situation with the husband said sure, because men that'll do what he did, those type of men are nasty. What I mean by that, those type of men are low character, low value. They nasty. So that particular husband, he wanted to sleep with his wife's sister. This how I understand men inside not, because I'm a man and I done been every type of man. I done been every level of man, every type of man, except for a man who like men. That's the only type of man I have not been, and that I would never be. Nothing, not knocking those guys, but I don't understand that mindset. But every other mindset of a man, I understand. This man was so open to his wife's sister moving in because he wanted to sleep with her. And then when she got there, he realized that she got this baby taking all her time, her energy. He realized she wasn't loose. He realized he wasn't going to be able to sleep with her because the wife had to go out of town. The husband said he wanted to stay back to make sure the sister okay. What he wanted to do is stay back to see if he could pick up some energy from the sister that he could sleep with her. And when he realized that she wasn't going to allow him to make an advance, or she wasn't going to make an advance on him or flirt with him and talk all extra with him while her sister out of town, he kicked her out. So really, he was mad about the situation. He was mad that she wouldn't sleep with him, and that's why he had the unmitigated gall to kick her out with a little baby and send her to a shelter. Because even the nasty of men, even a man with CTE, even a man who got personality problems, cannot bring himself to kick out a woman and a baby out of his house. So for a man to do something like that, he gotta be emboldened. He gotta feel disrespected or rejected or something in that space for him to do that. That's a reactionary thing. That come from anger. That come from that woman not wanting him. And I understand that mentality because I done been a dog and I done been out there and I know that's what it takes. So this, how you understand things, you got to look at yourself. You got to say to yourself, what in the world will make me kick somebody out who on their last leg? Like, what kind of anger, what kind of nastiness that gotta come from? So that's a perverted spirit that man has. And so this is why a lot of times women don't understand how heartless men can be. And it's a lot that goes into it. So a portion of it is how a man was created, but that's not really it. Because we was created perfect. We was created without sin. And then when evil entered the world, that's when sin was introduced. And everything went down from then. So you gotta understand it ain't God's fault that man is the way man is. But a lot plays into that. So when I look at a heartless man, you will notice that it's his upbringing, it's his environment, it's his parents, it's his past pain, and it's his society, it's his culture, it's his government on how he raised. And what you got to think about is, as men, we telling our little boys at 6 months, big boys don't cry. Big boys don't cry. We telling that at 6 months old. And it becomes a real thing. 2 years old, men, we be wanting to chastise our son at 2 years old. And it take a good woman, a strong woman, to let a man know you can't chastise, you can't whoop a 2-year-old. Like a 2-year-old not gonna understand all of this overly masculine discipline you trying to do. And my wife had to help me understand that. She said, when your son get about 5, between 5 and 7, that's when you really gonna be able to talk to them a little more on that level of them understanding choices, decisions, consequences, repercussions of their choices. that's when they'll start to understand a little bit more. And even then, they still not gonna fully understand. But it's men, us being raised so heartless, so cold. As men, you don't really get a space to go and cry. Like, it's not socially acceptable for men to just cry in public. Now, there's people who wouldn't think it's strange, but that's because of their upbringing. But there's a lot of women who call a man who is expressive, who is thoughtful, who is, in his head, who is an overthinker, call a man soft, call a man weak. But then if a woman does that, we kind of see it as, oh, that's women. Women are emotional. Well, men are emotional too. But when you're not allowed to express emotion, when you're told to shut up, big boys don't cry, when you're told stop crying, stop complaining, stop being a punk, stop being a wuss, stop being soft, stop all these feelings you having, that's soft, you this, you a beta male. When you hit with all that type of stuff, it's gonna make a man become the villain. So first you got the man, he got his big heart. He wanna heal, he wanna feel, he wanna love, he wanna serve, he wanna save. But then when his feelings, when his emotions, when his expressions are suppressed, and he's told that he's not a big boy, he's told that he's soft, he's told that he's weak, he's told that he's a punk, he's told these things, now he turns them feelings off. And when them feelings turned off, now it's like, go watch Spider-Man. Go watch all the Spider-Mans. And I don't like these kind of movies, but I watch them because my kids and my wife like that kind of stuff. But when you watch them Spider-Mans, I think it was, Spider-Man really represent what a man want to be and what a man want to do. And then did like Green Goblin, or I don't know what it's called, but he got green on his uniform. And then there's one man with a lot of long arms, and there's another man that be flying on a little thing, and he green. That is what a man become when he's been suppressed by society, by the government, by the world, by his wife, by his girlfriend, by his mama, his daddy, his brothers, his friends. He becomes that. He becomes a villain. So understand that it's a lot of conditioning that goes into men becoming heartless. It's not innate. There's a lot of conditioning that goes into it. And so when you meet a man, you gotta take the time to talk to this man and get to know this man and really be able to hear his heart and hear where he's coming from, and really sit and talk to him and really be able to say, okay, what's going on here? Like, learn about his upbringing, who raised him, where was he raised, what has he gone through, what has he seen, what has he dealt with, what was his childhood like. Like, you got to learn all that. Learn his mom's story, his dad's story, his grandma's story, his granddaddy's story, his brother's story, his sister's story. And that's going to give you a picture of how he has been conditioned. And that's going to give you a glimpse. You're going to get an idea on if this man is heartless or heartful. And so, hey, this is something to think about. And when you recognize this, so like what that man did to the woman's sister, so you got to be able to look at actions, things that happen like that. You got to be able to take a look at that and really apply it to other areas of life. So when I read that, I'm like, man, this dude will take his wife's life. Like a man who will kick out his sister-in-law with a 5-month-old baby after saying yes, she can live there, and do it without his wife's approval. It's like he's kicking out his family too, not just his wife's family. So that man, that type of man will take his wife's life. That type of man is cheating on his wife, and will always cheat on his wife. Like, you have to, and it's that serious. And yes, y'all ladies, y'all have to stop being so desperate for a man. Y'all have to stop putting up with any and everything just to have a warm body, just to have a ding-a-ling in you, or to have your children's father in the home. To Satan's house with that. You got to stop that. And you got to be able to hold a man accountable and make sure that he is a real man. And if he's not a real man, you got to get as far from him as the east from the west, the north from the south, and you got to cut him all the way off and be done with him, and let him sit in his mess. Let him sit in his mess and heal and grow and learn and go on about your business. Because when a grown man making real decisions like that, he rooted and grounded in that decision. That's who he is. That's who he is. And when he shows you who he is, you got to pay attention to that, and you cannot play with that, or you will end up on somebody's slab with a toe tag on you in a body bag. Listen to me. I try to help women understand that how gravely important this is. You're not playing with normal creatures. You're not dealing with no woman. You know why they say women cheat better? The reason why they say women cheat better is because women never get caught. Women rarely get caught. But you know why women don't get caught when they cheat? Because men don't talk. Men don't tell. Because men know men. See, a woman will be sleeping with a man and know this man married. Know this man is in a relationship. And the woman will get mad with the man and have the audacity to call the woman's husband. To call the man's wife and tell the wife that she's sleeping with her husband. A man know that if he make that phone call to a woman husband, that he's going to die. A man know that. But see, women know that the woman ain't gonna do nothing but cry and stay with her man. Women don't respect women. Men actually respect men. That's why a lot of men, it's men now. Men are sleep with a man, woman, but which is not respect, but he respect them enough not to rub it in his face. Now, a man who rub it in a man's face, that man, he shot out and he ready to die. And with 5 out of 10 men, that's exactly what he gonna do. He gonna lose his life. And I ain't talking about no tough. I ain't talking about no thug. I'm talking about the guy you call a nerd, the guy who sit in the back of the classroom. When you look at this stuff, what happened at these schools, when that stuff happened, who doing it? It ain't the thug. It ain't the drug dealer. It's the kid who was so quiet, so overlooked. You called him a punk. You called him a nerd. You called him weird. You called him whatever. And that's what he had in him. So if that type of man got that in him, every man got that in him. And that's why I try to help y'all understand. You got to stop judging a man by his job and by his money, by his height, by his looks. And you have to judge a man by his character, by his integrity. You have to get to know who is this man and how was he raised. And that will let you know how he is wired. So listen, understand me. It is Tony Gas, and God bless you. We'll talk soon.